In this short video, we walk through just how easy it is to complete a service request using the VixxoLink Mobile App. The first thing you're going to do is log into the VixxoLink Mobile App using your unique user credentials. Every user of VixxoLink has their own unique username and password. If you can't remember your password, simply tap on Do Not Remember Password, and that will start the password reset process. Once you're signed in, the first thing you're going to see is your jobs list. This list represents all the service requests that are assigned to your service provider organization. To start working on a service request, simply tap on it to open it. For the majority of service requests, the ETA will be set when the job is first accepted by the service provider organization. However, if there's a need to update the ETA, you can do so using the mobile app. To update the ETA, simply tap on the ETA section. A new window will open, allowing you to set the exact date and time as to when you will be on site. Please try to make sure this is going to be accurate. If that changes in between you initially setting or updating the ETA, you can always go back in and update it again to keep the store informed as to when you will be arriving on site. After setting the date and time of your estimated time of arrival, simply click Update ETA. When the screen reloads, you'll notice that the time and date that you set are now displayed on the service request. Because VixxoLink has geolocation data built directly into the application, when you arrive on site, the Time In button at the bottom of the service request will be enabled. Simply tap Time In and you will be logged into the job. After tapping Continue, you'll be officially timed into the job. From this point forward, you can begin to complete the actual work that needs to be done to close out the service request. You'll use the VixxoLink mobile app to document the actions taken, the assets that were worked on, as well as any supporting details, including uploading photos of the completed repair. Over the next few screens, we'll show you where you should document each individual part of the work that you're completing for the service request. Depending upon the nature of the service request, you may or may not be working with an asset, or other pieces of information may not be required. However, please be as comprehensive and detailed as possible at all points. After you've completed the service request, the first thing you'll be asked for is to add the asset. To add an asset, simply tap on the plus sign next to asset on the screen. This will bring up options for you to select which asset you worked on within the location. You can either scan an asset tag, search for an asset, create a new asset, or, depending upon what you worked on, select no asset. If you're working on an asset that has a Vixxo asset tag, you can use your mobile phone's camera to scan the asset tag and add it to the service request. Tap Scan Asset Tag to open up your mobile phone's camera. Hover over the asset tag and it will be added to the service request. If the asset doesn't have a tag, or if the asset is not recognized by scanning it with your mobile phone's camera, you can also search for an asset. If you tap Search, assets that are available at this particular location will be displayed. You can use search bar at the top to add in characters as needed if you need to hone down to find a specific asset. Now that you've captured the asset, or depending upon the nature of the service request, indicated that there was no asset worked on, it's time to continue documenting the service request. From here, you can add photos directly into VixxoLink from your mobile device. Simply tap on the plus sign next to photos and it will be asked if you want to take a new photo using your mobile device or upload a photo that you've taken previously. When adding photos, please consider taking photos of the actual item that you worked on as well as the surrounding areas if relevant to describing what happened with the service request. The photos you take are an important part of the documentation. Please note that there is no limit to the number of photos you can add. After you've added your photos, you'll now turn your attention to the job completion portion of the service request. To get started, simply tap on the plus sign next to job completion. From there, you'll be given options to indicate whether the job was complete or not complete. Depending upon your selections, you'll add additional details if the job was not complete. If you mark the job as not complete and select Need to Return, you'll also be asked some follow-up questions. First, you'll be asked if a temporary fix was applied on this current visit, then asked to enter in a return ETA. If you document the service request as not complete because additional parts are needed that aren't on site, you'll also be asked to provide a parts ETA if it is known. If it's not known, leave it blank. If the work needed to complete the service request exceeds the not to exceed amount, which you can find on the service request right within VixxoLink, you'll select Quote Approval Needed. If you have questions as to whether a quote is needed, please contact your service provider back office. If you run into the situation where a technician from another line of service or trade is needed to complete the service request, simply close the service request and select Tech from another line of service needed. For this example service request, we'll simply select Completed and move on. Next up, you're going to add resolution details to the service request. The first thing you're going to do is add a detailed note. The more detailed you can be, the better, because this helps the customer understand what exactly occurred in the resolution of the service request. It also helps from a site history perspective and allows the next service provider who goes out there to understand what exactly has been happening at the site. As part of the resolution details, you're going to add the parts as well as the actions taken with those parts. Adding actions may sound complex, but it's fairly straightforward in reality. Once you've selected the part, you're going to select what you actually did with the part. For example, it could be calibration, cleaning, cutting, cycling, diagnosing, disassembling, drilling, or maybe installed. If you worked on more than one part, you'll simply repeat the process, add a part, and the action that you performed. After you've recorded the parts that you worked on and the actions you took, you'll next work on expenses. Simply tap on the expenses plus sign to get started. Use the search bar at the top to find expenses that might have been accrued towards the service request. Click on the item and it will be selected, then tap Next. The last part of the process is to review and then get sign-offs on the service request. Both the service provider and the customer will sign off. Please note that while VixxoLink can support a digital wet signature from both the technician and the customer, certain protocols have been put into place to minimize person-to-person contact due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Please contact your service provider back office for the current protocols related to client signatures and sign-offs. After obtaining either the signature or other sign-off, depending upon the protocols in place, you can also have a copy of the work ticket emailed to the customer. Simply enter their email address and then continue. After you tap Submit, a work ticket will be built, completing out the service request in VixxoLink. When your screen refreshes, your jobs list will no longer have the open service request listed. Thanks for watching. If you have additional questions about how to get around the VixxoLink mobile application, please download and review the user guide.